Hello, I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and welcome to my vlog, where it's both my mission and my pleasure to highlight my creative journey in hopes of inspiring you, giving you a specific takeaway, all so that way your creative journey can be just a little bit easier, or maybe a lot more easier, I don't know. Now, before I talk about what happened in the week prior, allow me to use this opportunity to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. That way you get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly does mean a lot to me, as I hope it does to you. So, the big thing is that literally we have 1 month to go before production really kicks off. And, you know, if you're just joining for the very first time, a month from now, I will film my second feature film. And it's an exciting time because we're gonna fly to Colombia, the country, and we're gonna go film. And that's very exciting. And now, this is the business end, right? The culmination of so many months of hard work, on everyone's part, we're getting there. And so I'll talk about, kind of the preparation side of it, in terms of what we've got coming up specifically this week. But let me obviously talk about what happened last week. Well, last week, the main priority was for me to get we shot some green screen footage the weekend before, and my job was to edit it together so we had that and we could get the ball rolling on that. And I did, and that was exciting, right? Because we have that pretty much completed. And, when you watch it back, it's really quite funky, right? It looks just ridiculous for all intents and purposes. None of it really makes sense. Without, the context of the script, you wouldn't really know what you're looking at. And even with the script, it's very difficult for people who haven't had extensive conversations with me to really get okay, what the hell is happening? Because a lot of it is also, you have the green screen footage and then it's intercut with points of view or shots of the visual effect. And those aren't in there, right? So it just, there's a shot, boom, a point of view or something else, something happens, boom, cut to the person. So it's very disjointed. And it's almost kind of crazy how it all works. And the first time I ever, it's good for me because at the start of this year, I had made a short film called Playtest, which was completely shot on green screen and, in a similar fashion, right? And, that one was harder because of other elements. There was other people sort of involved that multiple people had to interact, even though they weren't ever going to be in the same actual filming frame. So we had to film people, and you can check out the short film, and you can check out kind of the making of. We did a whole hour Q&A, and I'll link to it in the description, so that way you can find it a lot easier. But the point being, that I did that, and while it got me prepared for this, because when I did that one, I had really no clue. I had obviously a starting position, and I knew I had to kind of trust myself as a filmmaker, and that I put stuff together. But it was really intensive in terms of me putting that together. And I remember editing it the first time. It was does this even work? I had no way of gauging it, right? Because it was just so ridiculous, right? That's just my term for it. Here, because I know and have been through the process, I know, it is silly and absolutely ridiculous, but it's at the stage that it needs to be so it can go on to the next stage. When I first did, Playtest, that short film, I didn't account for all the in-between shots, in terms of how long they would need. I'd be like, second and a half or 2 seconds, that sounds long enough. Great, let's do that. And, we sort of reached picture lock for that, and it was ooh, you know what? We actually need 3 seconds for that instead. So this time around, I had a better gauge of timing the footage that's not there at the moment, right? So that's a lot easier. And in that sense, everything else as well just kind of clicked, right? And so I was able to put it together. And it's about let's say a minute, 20 seconds out of the entire film. And so it's not like it was that hard to piece together, especially when we had a pretty clear idea of like what shot's going to go where. So it's just kind of picking out the takes and making it work. And in that sense, yeah, I did. So that's exciting. Now, I talked with Jonathan, who's a co-producer, co-cinematographer on this, and he's a visual effects guy. One of the things he said, it'll be easier. Like I was picking up 3D objects and environments to put into the scene. And one of the things he said was, why don't you actually film something, because a lot of it's like, this person's head moving, looking at something, whatever, and, just camera movement in general. And he said, why don't you just film something, even if it's like, in your street or whatever, to mimic those movements, because then, as he said, like whatever program he's going to use, whether Unreal Engine, Maya, whatever, you can find ways to have this, have that footage essentially be tracked. He can use that as the basis for the tracking for then the 3D environments that we're going to put in. So this, yeah, sure, not a problem. That's easy enough to do. And so that'll be kind of an added layer to this this little piece, this reference of a little movie, or at least, it's a section of the movie, right? That's what it ultimately is. And yeah, that'll be a nice added bonus, because it'll get us close to the next step, and it'll be easier for people to kind of grasp of what the hell's going on, instead of just this title card that says what's going on. And yeah, obviously for him, it'll be easier to recreate the camera movement. So it's like, great, I'm always one for having things as visual as they can be, having some sort of reference point, even however rudimentary it may be. So at least we can start to have a dialogue that's not so academic. It's more like rooted in something that we both are looking at, right? So we're doing that. And yeah, speaking of 3D environments, I kind of went in and picked out, ones that I liked and ones that I felt would work. And the fun part about this whole process is, you can also get an idea to enhance the scene. So I was like, ooh, you know what? We should do X, Y, and Z. He was like, I like that. So I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what it is because I don't want to spoil the surprise. And the fun part is, not even the actors really know this stuff. So, I get excited when I can find little ways in the post-production process to enhance what was the core of the script, the story, in ways that we didn't perceive at the time that I obviously wrote it. So that's exciting. Administratively, a lot of it was just kind of checking with individuals about things that are not outstanding, but just we would like to close the loop in on, so we can move forward. And for me, I really want October to be, especially for the actors, to be focused on them preparing mentally for the role versus worrying about anything from a procedural standpoint, let's say, right? So I'm trying to just get that done with them in particular. On the side, one of the things that I talked about with Kenny Harrison, who's just been a fantastic producer on this, is just getting a makeup artist who can also be a production person. Because the makeup itself is going to be very naturalistic, and so doing the makeup at the beginning of the day, then doing touch-ups throughout, and that leaves you a lot of downtime. And kind of like all of us, we're wearing multiple hats. So it's like, what if we found somebody that could also help with production and, just stuff like what we call firewatch, meaning if we're off doing a little scene, they're watching the equipment and just standing by it. So it's not like they have to do much or whatever, or, sometimes it could be, helping us just grab the food so we have that ready when we come back from set and we can eat and so forth, right? So stuff like that. So we're looking for somebody, and, I've been kind of trying to find somebody. So to that effect, if you or somebody is interested, let me know. Why not? maybe there's a chance for us to work together. The other sort of administrative thing that I was doing was purchasing the tickets to what I call the events in the script. So there's things that the characters go to, and I want to purchase those tickets so we have them for the dates that we're going to be filming and so forth. And that was overall successful. A couple of ones I have to wait a couple of days for because they don't book this far in advance, so it's more like a month in advance. So it's like, okay, cool. I'll wait a couple extra days and we'll get those tickets. And it's funny because there was one that I was getting for a trampoline park, right? And I ended up getting the wrong tickets, meaning obviously we're going to be filming in Colombia, so the trampoline park has a similar name to, in fact, it has the exact name as a park in Minnesota. And by accident, I had gotten the ones for Minnesota instead of the ones for Colombia. And that was just because of my haste and impatience and just, go. And that's kind of sometimes the risk, right? There's a risk to how I operate, and that's one of them. But rather than, so for me, I was like, okay, shoot, I got the wrong tickets. So I was like, all right, let's cancel these tickets and, we'll get the right ones. Well, it turns out they're non-refundable. And it was like, okay, well, I could be either upset about this or whatever, or let me see how I can make the best of this. And so I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to people I know and see if they know anyone in Minnesota, because I can transfer the tickets and I can to somebody else, and I can change the date. I just can't get a refund on the tickets. So it's like, okay, well, they can at least go to somebody, and why not brighten somebody's day by doing this? And so I reached out to various people that I knew, and lo and behold, that's what we're going to be doing. And I think to me, I don't know, that's how I just view life. It's like, okay, I can either take the loss on the money and be upset, or I could be like, okay, I'm going to take the loss on the money, but at least let me, it's like, let me do something with this. Let me brighten someone's day. Why not? And that, to me, I don't know, that's a spirit that I want to continue to embody and have tried to embody. Because, I don't know, it was a lot of people's birthdays this weekend. My birthday is actually coming up in November, and so, I sometimes get sentimental in that way and think back on certain things. And, one of the interesting parts is, just as you get older, you start to realize just moments of life. Meaning, these are all phases, and if, looking back on it, if I was 100 years, if I look back at my life, any of these moments would barely be chapters in a memoir of my life, right? And, the important ones and things like that, but in the totality of my life, they would just be tiny little chapters and so forth. And so, why, when I think about it that way, it's like, yeah, why sweat a mistake such as that? Just keep it moving, when in reality, I much rather remember that I brightened someone's day and got to film a movie in Colombia versus just being upset over, the money. So that's kind of the way I've been, at least right now, really perceiving life, is just, these are all tiny chunks, and it's like the Blade Runner quote, if you've ever seen that movie. This doesn't spoil it, but it's a great quote, where, all these moments will be lost in time like tears in rain, right? I think that's how the quote goes. If nothing else, it's pretty closely paraphrased. But the idea meaning that, all of our lives, there's moments in time, and they'll be gone. So let's try to enjoy them and make them as meaningful in the moment as we can. And that's why, for the people that donated to our Indiegogo campaign, the ones above a certain tier will get a yearbook, right? I'm calling it a yearbook, but it's basically our adventures in Colombia, photos, descriptions, and all that. I was just thinking about it. I'm like really excited to create this because, of course, I want to give it to the cast and the crew. And it's just something special. Like, I think it's going to be such a fun little book that we can all look back at and remember the memories that we have yet to make. I mean, we've certainly made a lot of memories along the way, but really the crux of what we're about to experience will be in Colombia while we're filming. And that's exciting. And I don't even know what that is. I mean, obviously I have an idea, but it's just going to be exciting how it all goes down and to capture not only a film, but then put it in a yearbook. It's exciting to think about, and I want to really have my finger on that and really design this and make it something special that we can all be proud of, both in terms of the movie and the yearbook. I don't know, in a weird way right now, I'm more excited about the yearbook. Not really, I'm just joking. But why not, right? Like, why not put as much, I don't know, I can't do things half-assed. I really can't. And so if I set out to make a movie, I'm going to make a movie to the best of my abilities. I commit to this yearbook. I'm going to make the best yearbook that I can to my abilities. So that's exciting stuff. The fun part, speaking of birthdays, it was Khalil Abdelrahim's birthday this weekend. We got, and Friday, I got a group of people together to celebrate with him. It was just a fun time. You gotta take moments and just enjoy them, right? Work hard, yes, but also enjoy it. One of my big overarching philosophies is no hurry, no pause. There's a way to enjoy what you're doing, not tire yourself out. The work hard, play hard model, I'm not about that. Just no hurry, no pause. And if you are curious about what that exactly means, check out an episode where I talk about it. I'll link to it in the description. One of the things as we kind of go into this last month of preparation, one of the things that I was really kind of thinking about is, various directors and so forth, looking at just studying everybody as much as I can, just to, get last minute intel. I don't know, inspiration, confidence, whatever you want to call it. I was reminded of Ridley Scott. I knew this about him, but for some reason, I looked to Robert Rodriguez, Wong Kar-wai, trying to think of the Safdie brothers, these various people for inspiration in terms of how quick and things like they are. But Ridley Scott, this guy shoots movies fast. And there was a great episode with him on Team Deakins. Well, not with him, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I misled you. Not with Ridley Scott, but with a cinematographer he collaborates with often. And he was talking about, this sort of aspect of how Ridley approaches movies and how he just knows exactly how long something's going to take and how it just seems crazy and a little bit sloppy, but it all comes together and it actually works perfectly. And, I think about that because I was like, I was reminded of that because I kind of, obviously I'm not anywhere near Ridley Scott's level, but in terms of my approach and how certainly some people perceive it, it's like, wait, that sounds way crazy. How is that going to work? And it's just like with Ridley, people just have to have that trust and he'll get them through it and it'll be great. And so same thing for me, I think. Also, in this last month, I really, how actors get in shape for a role and stuff like that? I'm kind of looking at it for me, any project, especially when you're going to be going for just a little over 2 weeks and things like that, it's going to be a grind, right? And so it's, especially for me, it's a lot of hats to wear, long hours, things like that. And so getting myself as physically and mentally prepared for that. And, the nice part is, when I talk about no hurry, no pause, it's a lot easier to get mentally and physically prepared for something when you've already been at least training to some degree, before this on a consistent basis versus just waking up one day and be like, all right, cool, I'm ready to do this. And, that's a lot more difficult, right? But specifically, mentally I feel prepared. Physically, I know I want to, I've been playing a lot more soccer, I've been biking, things of that nature, because, I'm going to be filming, I'm going to be one of the 2 cameras. So, there's that aspect of it. I'm going to be on my feet pretty much the entire day. Like they say, first in, first out. So for me, I will pretty much be the first one up and the last one to go to bed type of thing. And that's just the nature of it. It's not what I signed up. Let me say this. It is what I signed up for. It sounded like I said it isn't what I signed up for. It very much is what I signed up for, right? And so I want to make sure that I am ready for that. Mentally, I am. And overall, physically, I am already. But why not just push it to that next level, no different than an actor would prepare for a role, right? So I think of it in that sense. That's kind of the long and short of what's been going on. As far as this next week is a big week because Kenny and I are meeting and we're going to go over this last month, making sure we have all the deadlines laid out, when things need to hit, last minute action items, meet with the rest of the production team. We're going to have a big rehearsal this Thursday with everybody, so it's going to be a rehearsal, but it's also going to be about, tagging the clothes, all that stuff. So lots going on this next couple of days, but really exciting stuff. So really looking forward to it. So that's where we're at. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. As always, if you have any questions, please ask away, or it can be down in the comment section, or hit me up on social media at Svitek. It could be about the stuff that I talked about. It could be about stuff I didn't talk about, but you want to know, right? Happy to provide the answer, or maybe do a video about it. Whatever the case may be, however I see best to address it, I will do that. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to tune in. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time.